Hey guys, Taxman here. Wow, three videos. Another one coming soon. I mean, check out the other two if you have. One was a game that I made, and the last one was, like a digital painting that I made, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so this one is actually a pixel art that I made for a commission. It was two people. They wanted me to make it for them, and it was pretty fun. Like it's interesting because it's like this one. They didn't specify how detailed they wanted it to be, or even how big because it's like the thing is like you can go a million ways with a pixel art. It can be like cartoony or whatever, but I think from usually when you do like portraits of people, you kind of want them to look a bit like them. So I try to be faithful to the drawing without like literally tracing or anything like that, and I think it turned out pretty cool. You can kind of see my process here. Obviously, I start with like just the line art, and then I kind of work in with like the colors. I mean, in my case, like I tend to kind of work with like very bright colors and just to kind of work with a little bit of hue shifting here and there because I think, like with pixel art, you want to make things look a little bit brighter than real life. And what's interesting, you can see the shading on the way that I do like the darker color of like the gray or the black. I tried to make it like still have a tinge like of red, a little bit more on the warm side. And obviously, so what I'm doing here is I'm turning the anything that's black that's not an outline, I'm making it a lighter, that like lighter black, like black red color almost, to kind of give it like a more faint look so that the black outlines like actually stand out. And yeah, I'm just trying to kind of add a lot of like hue shifting, a lot of like tiny details on the flowers. And you see here I'm working on the earrings. And yeah, man, I'm moving lightning fast. This video is so quick. But yeah, that's basically it. So I mean, I also with this video, I also kind of started like midway through. I'm already moving on to the second person. And what's interesting is that like the hair, um, I experimented a bit with it. You can see whether it turned out good or not. I would say I was fine with the experimentation of it, but because I was working a lot with dithering, and you'll see that soon. But yeah, it's an interesting way to work in pixel art. I haven't done something this big in a while, and if I did, it was usually a lot more cartoony. So it's interesting working with like the confines of like trying to make it look good from a distance, but then also if you really get up close to see all the details that are there. And that's why these are so time consuming, is because you have to not just make it look good from a distance, but also like literally every single pixel has been touched by me. So like I start with very rough lines, but then eventually I have to kind of like smooth everything out. So you'll see that a lot of times where I'll start with something that's very rough and then just kind of like slowly like chip it down and like refine it little by little. And yeah, so like when it comes to this kind of pixel art, especially with people, I always try to do something that's not overly complicated and too detailed, because obviously you don't want people to see every single pore and every single like like zit on their face or anything like that. It's just something nice and fun. So I've kind of found a good balance of like realism where it looks like the person but also like not going overboard. And in fact, with this one in the final version, you'll see that I made some changes even from these recordings, because the client asks us like, hey, like, like, can you remove certain like darker shading and stuff like that? Just because I guess they thought it was a little harsh, which is cool. Like I think in these cases, especially like when you're drawing like real people, especially when you're drawing up the very same person you're looking at, they're always going to be a lot more paying attention to certain details. That's why I don't always recommend like doing portrait stuff unless you're comfortable with like making a lot of changes, because it always happens, guaranteed. There's always going to be like, hey, can you fix this or change that? Which is cool, it's fine, I understand. It's like if you look at yourself in the mirror all day, you're gonna, I'm not saying they look at themselves. I'm saying it's like you that came out wrong. I was just saying like how you look better than anybody else, so obviously you're gonna be more aware of certain things that are wrong or off. So that's the thing, right? It's like I don't always recommend drawing people in this case, obviously I don't know these guys, so this was fun to just kind of do my best on it. um, yeah, with skin tones and stuff like that, like I always try to kind of keep it soft, but not get overboard, like with the like the lips. Like I try to add some shine wherever there is some shine. Sometimes I go a little overboard with the shine. It's like people aren't like like wax, but I think it gives it a little bit of like a three dimensionality to it. And yeah, so just a lot of finessing. I've been doing a lot of pixel art lately, which has been good practice for me for sure because I find it really interesting, right? That like I used to do pixel art since I was like 10 years old, and more than like 15 years later, like it's actually one of the things that has still been probably the most that people have asked me to do for clients, for different people, and I mean definitely like it's helped me a lot like do like physical drawing, right? Like actually like doing fine art stuff because then I can come back into this and kind of be more aware of what I'm doing. And you know, it's also just to kind of like over time with experience, you learn to have a better workflow and just to kind of know like how to smooth out edges, how to like how to I guess call it anti-aliasing, which is like when you use a mid color to kind of blend in two colors so they don't look too harsh. Like for example, like the black to peach, like that's way too strong. So I'm gonna add eventually, I'm doing it on the sides here. You see how I'm adding a darker like mid shade of red in between the black and the pink so that it has, it kind of smoothly transitions from one to the other. Oh, you kind of saw the drawing there a little bit. I think I'll probably show it at the end too. Um, but yeah, this was a pretty fun experience. It's definitely like no matter how long, no matter how much time I've been doing it for, it's definitely very timely as you can see. And because like honestly, the best way to do it is still with a mouse. It's killer on my fingers. I worked on a project this last month where I actually flew out to Denver, Colorado, which is amazing because my comic book takes place there, which is so cool. You can check out the comic book too, links below. Um, and what I find really cool is that like with pixel art, like it kind of has like a resurgence, I think, where like a lot more people want it, or just I think a lot more people appreciate it now as like its own type of art because honestly like that wasn't the thing before, and I think now because so many people draw from like like 80s and 90s nostalgia now, there's a lot of like marketing campaigns that use it. So yeah, this is the final product. This is pretty cool. It's fun pixel art, and yeah, hopefully you guys, if you guys want me to make something of you, let me know. Goodbye.